He gave shelter to a lost alien. Then she chose him as her mate. The midnight visitor. The mountain storm raged with unnatural fury. Rain hammered against Rowan's cabin, each drop striking like tiny bullets against the wooden walls. Wind howled through the valley, bending the pines almost to breaking point. Lightning split the sky in violent bursts, illuminating the research station in stark flashes of white. Rowan Thorne pulled his weathered cardigan tighter around his lean frame. The botanist hadn't expected such severe weather, especially not in early autumn. His small cabin, perched on the edge of Blackwood Forest, usually provided adequate shelter from mountain storms, but this one felt different, more intense, almost deliberate. He moved between his plant specimens, checking that the rain hadn't damaged any of his ongoing experiments. After 3 years living alone in these mountains, his research on rare alpine flora had become his sole companion. The isolation suited him. People asked too many questions, and Rowan had long ago grown tired of answering them. The power flickered once, twice, then died completely. Rowan sighed and reached for the emergency lantern. As the warm glow filled the cabin, something crashed outside. Not the wind. Something solid. He peered through the rain-streaked window, but saw only darkness and the frantic dance of tree branches. Another crash, this time closer to the cabin. Frowning, Rowan grabbed his raincoat and the lantern. Whatever was out there, he needed to make sure it wasn't damaging his equipment. The moment he stepped outside, the rain soaked through his clothes. He held the lantern high, squinting against the downpour. "Hello," he called out, feeling foolish. No one ventured this far up the mountain, especially not during a storm. A flash of movement caught his eye, something darting between trees at the forest edge. Rowan hesitated. Wild animals were common here, but they typically sought shelter during storms, not ventured out into them. Another flash of lightning revealed a figure stumbling from the tree line, human-shaped but moving with jerky, uncoordinated steps. Rowan's first instinct was to retreat inside and lock the door. 3 years of solitude had made him wary of unexpected visitors. But when the figure collapsed halfway across his clearing, something overrode his caution. He found her face down in the mud, unnaturally still. The lantern light showed a woman, slender and pale, dressed in what looked like a thin silver shift that clung to her body. No coat, no shoes, nothing that would protect against the elements. "Hey," Rowan said, kneeling beside her. "Can you hear me?" No response. He gently turned her over and froze. Her face wasn't quite right. The proportions were similar to a human's, but her features seemed too perfect, too symmetrical. Her skin had an almost translucent quality, with an underlying hue that wasn't quite natural. And when her eyelids fluttered open, Rowan nearly dropped the lantern. Her irises were violet, with tiny flecks that seemed to shimmer like stars. "Help," she whispered, the words strangely accented. Then her eyes rolled back, and she went limp in his arms. Rowan stood frozen for a heartbeat longer. Then practicality overcame his shock. Whoever, whatever, she was, she needed shelter. He lifted her into his arms, surprised by how light she felt, and carried her back to the cabin. Inside, he laid her on his couch and wrapped her in thermal blankets. Her skin was ice cold, but she was breathing steadily. Rowan built up the fire, then sat across from her, watching. Her hair, now drying in the warmth, wasn't black as he'd first thought. It was a deep midnight blue, almost iridescent in the firelight. Upon closer inspection, her skin had a faint silvery pattern beneath the surface, like intricate circuitry, or perhaps delicate veins carrying something other than blood. "What are you?" he murmured. As if in response, she shuddered violently. Her eyes snapped open, and she sat up with alarming speed. "They're coming," she gasped, her accent more pronounced now. "Hide me, please." Rowan raised his hands in what he hoped was a calming gesture. "No one's coming in this storm. You're safe." Her violet eyes fixed on him with unsettling intensity. Not safe. Never safe. Her gaze darted around the cabin. This place, primitive. They will find me. Who will find you? Rowan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Instead of answering, she pressed her palms against her temples and made a sound of pain. Then she spoke in a language Rowan had never heard before, liquid and musical, with tones that seemed to ripple through the air. I don't understand, he said. English, please. Or Spanish. I know some Spanish. She focused on him again, her expression clearing slightly. My name, Lyra. I am not from your world. Despite the absurdity of her statement, Rowan felt a chill run down his spine. Her appearance, her manner, the strange language, they all suggested something beyond his understanding. You're saying you're not human? He asked carefully. Lyra's lips curved into a sad smile. Not like you. My people, we observe, study, but never interact. She looked down at her hands, which trembled slightly. I broke that law. Before Rowan could respond, a high-pitched tone filled the air. Lyra's head snapped up, her eyes wide with terror. Tracker, she whispered. They found me. She stumbled to her feet, the blankets falling away. As she moved toward the door, Rowan noticed something else. Her footprints on his wooden floor left faint, luminescent marks that faded after a few seconds. Wait, he said, blocking her path. You can't go back out there. The storm. The storm is their doing, she interrupted. A search pattern. They will tear apart your mountain to find me. Who are they? Guardians. Enforcers. They prevent contamination between worlds. Her voice dropped. They will erase all evidence, including you. The high-pitched tone grew louder, and Lyra doubled over in pain. When she straightened, Rowan gasped. The silvery patterns beneath her skin were glowing faintly, pulsing in rhythm with the tone. A homing beacon, she explained through gritted teeth. Inside me. I tried to remove it, but... She pulled aside the collar of her shift, revealing an angry wound just below her collarbone. Something metallic glinted inside, pulsing with the same light that ran beneath her skin. Rowan's scientific mind kicked into gear. I have medical supplies. Tweezers, disinfectant. Your tools cannot touch it. Only, she hesitated. There is one substance on your world that disrupts our technology. A mineral. What mineral? Iron, she said simply. Pure iron burns us, but it also disrupts signals. Rowan thought quickly. I have cast iron cookware. Would that work? Hope flickered in her violet eyes. Yes. Heat it. Press it here. She pointed to the wound. That will hurt you, he protested. Less than what happens if they find me. The determination in her voice convinced him. Rowan retrieved his smallest cast iron pan and placed it in the fire. While it heated, he gathered medical supplies and offered Lyra a strong drink, which she declined. Your body, different composition, she explained. Your medicines, your alcohol, they do not affect me. When the pan glowed red-hot, Rowan took a deep breath. Ready? Lyra nodded and laid back, exposing the wound. Be quick. The moment the hot iron touched her skin, a blinding flash filled the cabin. Lyra's back arched in pain, but she made no sound. The high-pitched tone wavered, stuttered, then died. When Rowan pulled the pan away, the wound was sealed, the metallic object inside blackened and lifeless. Lyra collapsed back onto the couch, breathing heavily. Thank you, she whispered. Will they still be able to find you? Rowan asked, setting aside the pan. Not immediately. We have time. Her eyes met his. Why did you help me? You should have been afraid. It was a good question. Rowan had spent years avoiding human contact, yet here he was, helping an alien fugitive. The irony wasn't lost on him. I'm a scientist, he said finally. Curiosity overrode fear. Curiosity is dangerous, she replied, but a small smile played at her lips. Outside, the storm was subsiding, the unnatural fury fading to a gentle rain. Rowan sensed the connection, how her presence had somehow brought the storm and how disconnecting the tracker had calmed it. "You should rest," he told her. "We can figure out what to do in the morning." She nodded, her eyelids growing heavy. As she drifted toward sleep, her hand found his, her cool fingers entwining with his warm ones. "They sent me to observe," she murmured, already half asleep. "But I stayed to understand. Your world, so full of feeling. My people have forgotten what it means to feel." Her grip tightened slightly. "You are alone here. I have been watching. Like me, separate from your kind." Rowan didn't pull away. Instead, he watched as she fell into sleep, her luminescent skin dimming to a soft glow. In the morning, there would be questions, explanations, and likely danger. But for now, in the quiet aftermath of the storm, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Connection. Celestial bond. The next 3 days passed in an uneasy calm. Rowan found himself both fascinated and unsettled by his otherworldly guest. Lyra moved through his cabin with ethereal grace, examining his botanical specimens with childlike wonder, asking questions about Earth that revealed how fundamentally different her world must be. "Your plants communicate," she observed, fingers hovering over a potted fern without quite touching it. "But you cannot hear them." "Plants don't communicate the way we do," Rowan explained, though he dedicated his career to studying chemical signals between plant species. Lyra smiled that mysterious smile of hers. "They sing in wavelengths you cannot perceive. On my world, we evolved to hear them." Each revelation about her home planet, which she called Lumina, painted a picture of a society technologically advanced beyond human comprehension, yet emotionally stunted. Her people had eliminated disease, hunger, and conflict, but in doing so, had engineered away their capacity for deep emotion. "We observe other species to understand what we've lost," she explained one evening as they sat before the fire. "I was assigned to study human connection, friendship, family bonds, love." Her violet eyes reflected the flames. "I was not supposed to interact, just watch, record, analyze." "What changed?" Rowan asked, noting how the luminescent patterns beneath her skin brightened when she spoke of emotions. "I felt something," she whispered, watching a human family by a lake. A father teaching his daughter to skip stones. Their laughter. She pressed a hand to her chest. Something awakened here. Something forbidden. Rowan understood forbidden feelings. After losing his research partner and lover, Elijah, in a mountain climbing accident, he'd sworn never to form attachments again. Pain was the inevitable result of caring too deeply. His self-imposed exile was protection against that pain. Yet here he was, drawn to this alien woman in ways he couldn't explain. On the 4th morning, Rowan woke to find Lyra standing motionless at the window, her posture rigid. "They found us," she said without turning. The iron only delayed them. Outside, the sky had taken on an unnatural copper hue. The air felt charged, heavy with potential energy. In the distance, where the forest met the mountain ridge, 3 vertical pillars of light descended from the clouds. "Anchors," Lyra explained, her voice hollow. "They're establishing a perimeter." "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less." She finally turned to face him, and Rowan gasped. The transformation that had been subtly progressing was now accelerating. The silver patterns beneath her skin pulsed with bright energy. Her violet eyes now contained swirling galaxies of light. Her midnight blue hair floated around her face as if suspended in water. "It's happening faster now," she said, noticing his shock. "My true form is emerging. The human disguise is failing." "Why now?" "Proximity to others of my kind. And," she hesitated, "strong emotion accelerates the process." Rowan stepped closer, transfixed. "Does it hurt?" "Yes, but it's a necessary pain." Her gaze searched his face. "Rowan, there's something I haven't told you. About why I was really sent here." Before she could continue, a low vibration shook the cabin. Picture frames rattled. Beakers clinked together. Outside, birds took flight in panicked clouds. "They're scanning," Lyra said urgently. "They'll detect 2 life forms. One human, one not. You need to leave now." Rowan crossed his arms. "This is my home. My research. I'm not abandoning it." "They will destroy everything to remove all traces of contact," she insisted. "They'll rewrite the memories of anyone who's seen me, including you." The thought of forgetting her, of returning to his isolated existence without even knowing what he'd lost, was suddenly unbearable. "There must be another way," he said. Lyra's expression shifted to one of desperate resolve. "There is one possibility, but it would change you forever." She held out her glowing hand. "Do you trust me?" Against all logic, Rowan did. He placed his hand in hers. The moment they touched, energy coursed between them. Rowan gasped as images flooded his mind. Vast cities of crystal and light, beings composed of pure energy, ships that traveled between stars through folds in spacetime. He saw Lyra in her true form, a being of radiant beauty, assigned to Earth because her genetic makeup showed an anomaly. The capacity to feel more deeply than others of her kind. "We are compatible," Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. "My people evolved from beings like humans, millennia ago. The connection between our species was severed, but not destroyed." She showed him her secret mission, to determine if human emotional capacity could be reintegrated into her species without destabilizing their society. She was a test subject as much as an observer. Lyra's relief and joy flowed through their connection. She guided him through the ritual. An exchange of blood, a sharing of breath, words spoken in her ancient language that resonated at a cellular level. As the final words left his lips, pain unlike anything he'd ever experienced tore through Rowan's body. Every cell seemed to rupture and reform. His vision blurred, then sharpened beyond human capability. His hearing expanded to register sounds previously imperceptible, including, amazingly, the subtle communication between his plants that Lyra had mentioned. When the transformation subsided, Rowan looked down at his hands. Faint silver patterns, similar to Lyra's but uniquely his own, now glowed beneath his skin. "It's done," Lyra whispered, her actual voice now carrying harmonics his new senses could detect. "We are bonded." The cabin door burst open. 3 figures stood silhouetted against the copper sky, humanoid in shape but tall and thin, their forms semi-transparent and pulsing with the same energy that now coursed through Rowan. The tallest stepped forward, its features resolving into something almost human, though the eyes remained pools of light. "Observer Lyra." It spoke, the words somehow both audible and felt as vibrations. "You have violated primary directives. You will return for judgment." Lyra straightened, still holding Rowan's hand. "Guardian Felix, I invoke the right of evolution." The 3 visitors went completely still. The one called Felix tilted its head. "That right has not been claimed in 7,000 cycles. Yet it remains valid," Lyra countered. "I have bonded with this human. Our DNA has merged. The ancient compatibility has been proven." The Guardians communicated silently among themselves, vibrations passing between them that Rowan could now partially sense. Finally, Felix spoke again. "Show us." Lyra squeezed Rowan's hand, and together they stepped forward. The Guardians extended luminous appendages, scanning them with technology beyond Rowan's comprehension, even with his enhanced senses. "Extraordinary," Felix finally said. "The bonding is complete. Stable. The human retains cognitive function despite the transformation." "I have a name," Rowan said, surprising himself with his boldness. "And I can speak for myself." The Guardian regarded him with newfound interest. "Indeed. Perhaps we have underestimated your species' adaptability." It turned back to Lyra. "The Council must be informed. This changes the parameters of our observation program." "Does this mean you won't take her?" Rowan asked. "The bonded cannot be separated without destroying both," Felix explained. "The right of evolution supersedes all directives." A pause. However, you cannot remain here. The transformation is irreversible, and this human will soon exhibit abilities that cannot be explained to his kind. Rowan looked around at his cabin, his research, the life he built in isolation. Then he looked at Lyra, who had risked everything to save him. The choice was surprisingly easy. "I understand," he said. Lyra's joy flowed through their bond. "There are worlds between worlds," she told him. "Places where beings like us can exist freely. I can show you wonders beyond imagination." The Guardians stepped back, forming a triangle around them. "The Council grants provisional acceptance of this bond," Felix announced. "You will be monitored, but permitted to continue. The human's transformation may provide valuable data on reintegration potentials." The copper light intensified, enveloping the cabin. Rowan felt a sudden weightlessness as reality seemed to fold around them. "Hold on to me," Lyra whispered. "The first transition is difficult." As the world he knew dissolved into patterns of light and energy, Rowan kept his eyes fixed on Lyra's face. In her violet eyes, he saw not just stars but possibilities. A future neither of them had imagined, a connection neither of them had thought possible. "I don't know what I'm becoming," he admitted through their mental link. Her response flowed back with certainty and warmth. "Something beautiful, something new. We both are." The mountain cabin, the earth itself, faded from view. Ahead lay stars, dimensions and realms beyond human understanding. Behind lay loneliness, isolation, and fear. Rowan didn't look back. In the space between worlds, two beings who had once been separate species traveled hand in hand. The botanist who had hidden from connection, and the observer who had risked everything to feel it. Their transformation had only begun, but already they were more than the sum of their parts. They were the bridge between two evolutionary paths that had diverged millennia ago. And in their bond lay the potential for both species to remember what had been lost, the capacity for wonder, for growth, and most importantly, for love that transcended the boundaries of worlds. As the last traces of Earth faded behind them, Rowan felt a strange peace settle over him. The universe opened before them, vast, mysterious, and filled with possibilities he had never imagined during his solitary years on the mountain. "Are you afraid?" Lyra asked, her thoughts gentle against his mind. "No," he answered truthfully. "For the first time in years, I'm not running from anything." She smiled, her luminescent form radiating warmth. "Then where are you running to?" Rowan looked at their intertwined hands, at the matching patterns of light that flowed beneath their skin, a visible sign of the bond they now shared across the stars. "Wherever we're going," he said softly, "we're not running. We're finally coming home." And as they journeyed into the cosmic unknown, two souls from distant worlds moved forward as one. No longer observer and observed, alien and human, but something entirely new. Something the universe had been waiting for. A beginning, not an end.